My name is Tim, and I work at Hazetown Vapes here on 325 Weston Road, and I'm a store retail operations manager.
And how long have you been working with vapes?
I've been in the vape scene for about 4 years. Yeah, it's been about 4 years. I've been vaping for 6 years.
And do you find that business has dropped off since all this media coverage of the illnesses happening in the States?
I've heard a lot of business like dropping because of like all the false news out there and stuff like that. But in terms of us, we haven't really seen a drop in people coming in. A lot of people, new smokers transitioning to vaping, that we've seen a loss on, but our regulars are still coming, and business hasn't been really affected by it.
And of the 8 provinces that have legal legislation regarding e-cigarettes, only Ontario allows retail advertising.
Mm-hmm.
Critics say retail advertising normalizes e-cigarettes in the minds of youth and causes them to vape in greater numbers. What are your thoughts on the province's decision to allow e-cigarette advertising?
I don't think advertising for e-cigarettes should be allowed, but inside of a specialty vape shop. So when you come to our location, you come in and you have to be 19 just to walk through the doors. With corner stores, gas stations, it's accessible to anybody. So for a youth to come by into a convenience store and see that there's vape products there, they're gonna assume that it's accessible to them. Whereas in specialty vape shops, you can walk in and you have to be 19, ID'd right away. The minute someone that looks under the age of 25, 35, we already ask them, have you shopped with us before? Do you have an account with us? And if they're like, no, we're like, okay, well, we need a piece of ID before we can even talk about vaping, sample any vaping products or anything like that. So I don't totally agree with the advertising, but I think that it should be allowed in-store only and only in specialty vape shops.
And flavors are said to mask the harsh taste of nicotine,
Mm-hmm.
making it easier for new users and especially youth to take up vaping. Some U.S. states have already banned many flavorings. So what are your thoughts on flavorings?
Flavorings should be allowed. I mean, why can't adults enjoy flavorings? For instance, 96% of adults that come in and want to quit smoking choose to go with a fruit flavor. And only 4 actually go with a tobacco flavor. So, I mean, getting away from that taste of it is what I think the big issue is. But adults enjoy flavors too. Like I myself will vape, a banana flavor or a cherry flavor. I won't vape a tobacco flavor because I don't want to stay with that taste in my mouth from before, right? And I mean, there's a lot of industries that cater flavored 19 plus products, such as the alcohol scene. There's cotton candy vodka, right? Like, is that a flavor for the kids to entice kids to drink, or is it for adults to enjoy, having a cotton candy flavored vodka, or is it like, if it's allowed in one kind of scene, why is it so bashed on in another, right? Adults like flavor. I think that's what the main thing is that everybody should be able to enjoy something they like. Right? And in terms of the harshness of the nicotine, there is flavorless e-liquid you can get if you're a person looking for that. And nicotine is not necessarily harsh unless it's in high dosages. And a lot of the customers that come in here, we're not really recommending them, 50 milligrams of e-liquid like the Juul and all that stuff. That was put out there to for me, it's by a tobacco company and to entice them to vape only the 50 milligram. With a vape shop, when you come in here, you have choices from anywhere from 50 milligrams down to 0. So you don't necessarily even need the nicotine. We get a lot of people that are shisha smokers, right? They come from different cultural backgrounds, and they come in and they're like, I smoke shisha. Shisha still contains tobacco for the most part. It's still heated on an element. It's still burnt, right? So a lot of those people come in and they're like, oh, I don't even want nicotine, but I want to use it to replace my shisha because it's part of my culture, right? Without having the effects of the burning tobacco and the nicotine that's coming from the tobacco-derived flavors into their lungs.
And are you worried about selling or promoting e-cigarettes in light of the recent illnesses and deaths?
No, not at all, because nothing we carry in our shop is illegal. Nothing contains any CBDs, nothing contains vitamin E acetate, nothing contains THC. In all these media coverage, what you see is that people are they're reading the headlines where it's saying vaping kills, but they're not actually reading further to find out exactly what is it in the liquids that are killing people. Most reports that are coming out now are now stating that it's the THC cartridges, and not even like made by a good source. It's black market THC illicit products that are filled with vitamin E to stretch out the batch of the THC concentrate. Vitamin E acetate, it's an actual oil. It's not water soluble like e-liquid is. So when you inhale that, it's actually coating in like the air pockets in your lungs. So nicotine has, from what I know, I have not seen anyone get sick off of vaping nicotine e-liquid versus black market THC cartridges. So I mean, I'm not really worried. I don't think people should be worried. I myself have been vaping for 6 years. Never had an issue. If not, I feel a lot better. I remember when I used to smoke cigarettes, I used to get a lot of sore throats, a lot of colds, a lot of like chest pains, waking up in the morning, a lot of spit, a lot of nasty stuff coming up. And like, since I've been vaping, I've never had an issue. As long as you consume it properly. And that's the thing about vape shops, is that when you come into a vape shop, we actually educate the customer on how to properly use a device. When you go to a convenience store that's owned by a family run business, or a corner store, a gas station, they're not gonna know this stuff. They're just there to sell the product because it was promoted by the big companies. With us, we actually teach you, like, do not vape 50 milligram in a tank that will produce a lot of vapor, because you're going to be overdoing it. Anything consumed in regulation is okay, right? Caffeine is a drug, just like nicotine. They're probably from the same category, right? So if you overly consume caffeine, it's probably bad for you. Same thing with nicotine. But if it's done properly and you're educated on how to use it, I don't see any problems happening at all.
And so, this last question, what is the best step that the government can take to sort of like cut down on youth vaping?
Honestly, have only specialty vape shops. I don't think anybody besides vape shops should be selling vape products, and only because it's accessible to everyone. Good thing about the industry and the vape shop industry is that before it was even a legal bill, they were already implementing 19 plus to be able to buy, sample, come in store. So I remember working at another vape shop, and it wasn't even legal yet. So like we didn't have to kick out minors. We didn't have to tell them they can't buy it. We could have sold to 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds, 16-year-olds, but we didn't. As an industry and an industry standard across the board, I think everybody agreed to that and was only selling to 19 plus and kind of following the tobacco rules. So I mean, the best way to control it is to have a licensed vape shop that is controlled, that is, in good standing, that hasn't committed offenses of selling to minors, right? And get it out of easily accessible, stores like convenience stores, gas stations, where anybody from any age can walk in there and see these products, right? And I think that's the best way to go about it, is just to keep control. I always agree on fair regulation. I think fair regulation is a good thing because, yes, we don't want to sell to minors. I don't want a minor smoking, right? Like, I started smoking cigarettes at 14, and I was getting it from my local corner store, just like every other teen smoking out there will. What I find too is that everybody's worried about we're at an all-time high of teen vaping, but we should be focused on is we're at an all-time low of vape of smoking teens, right? So, to me, I like to say that if I had my own child and my child was 16 and came up to me and was like, "Dad, I'm smoking cigarettes and I want to stop," I would definitely probably look at it to be like, you know what, maybe vaping is the better alternative because it helped me, right? So with that in mind, I just think making sure you're not selling to minors is the best way to control it. And the best way to do that is to have a 19 plus shop where you have to walk in the door and be 19 plus. For instance, I had the other day a couple come in, and it was like an older guy. I don't know what age he was, but the person he was with was a lot younger and definitely looked underage. And I asked right away, and I was like, "Do you have ID?" And then after the guy turned around to me, and he was like, "No, she's with me." And I'm like, "Well, she still can't be in here. I'm sorry, if you don't mind if she waits outside, and I can help you, no problem." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." And then I went on to ask him, you know, what exactly is he looking for? And he was like, I'm not 100% sure, right? So I kind of figured out already that he was probably in here because the girl that was with him asked to go buy it for her, right? So if he went to a convenience store, he could have got it instantly, real quick, because all they have there is an easy setup like the Juul or the Vibe, where it's just a plug and play, right? When I started asking him questions, he was really thrown off by it, right? So I think educating customers is a good way to like stop people and stop minors from accessing e-liquids and vapes, and definitely getting it out of like convenience stores and all that. Yeah.
Those are great answers. Thank you.